never really going to satisfy everyone, and it's about how you bounce back from those tough times, and it's never going to be perfect. You know, you're never going to have a perfect game, never going to have a perfect season. You know, very rarely. So you got to be able to bounce back from anything that happens and be resilient. And you know, I think that the thing about this team that I love so much is that every time we get knocked down, we bounce right back. I think we showed that in the last game, man. And you know, I just want to finish this thing the right way for these guys and for this university. Yeah, with him, you know, he's just such a sharp mind. I mean, being able to be in a room with him every single day is you know, a blessing for me because I mean he's coached for, you know, as long as I've been alive. And you know, when I was growing up, I was an Eagles fan. He was an Eagles coach. You know, it's just like, you know, it's kind of crazy to think about the fact that being coached by him. And you know, just throughout this whole year, I mean, we've become, you know, kind of on the same page about a lot of things, and we've kind of gotten in sync on a lot of things. And he's taught me so much. I feel like, you know, I've been able to give him some respect on some things, and you know, I think between him, Coach Day, Billy Fessler doesn't get a lot of credit. He's like our, you know, my go-to guy in that quarterback room. Yeah, I got to shout him out, man. He does so much for me on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. Those guys have kind of turned me into a better player. Man, he's special, and you know, I think it's just the way that he approaches every single day. You know, it's not like he's just going out there and making these unbelievable plays. You know, he's doing it in practice every single day, and he's working at it, and he wants this, you know, more than anything. And when you have a kid that's that talented and that mature at that young age, you don't find it very often. And you know, I'm just thankful that he's on my team, man. He's a hell of a player, and he's only getting better from here. And that's the crazy thing is that I think when it's all said and done, man, he could be one of the best to ever play this game. I think he's got that kind of potential, but he's just got to keep working, and I know he will. And he's humble too, man. He's a different breed.
Is there a moment where you kind of had a better grasp of it?
Yeah, I think the spring period for me was definitely an interesting transition. You know, really, I realized, and I've told this story before, but you know, there was a play during spring ball where I went out there and just had no balls on either side, and I decided to throw Jeremiah in the field. And I went out and I took a 3-step drop, and I took 2 hitches to throw a go ball. And Coach Day's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, you know, 3 and 2. That's how I throw go balls at K-State. Like, that was the timing that I was taught. He's like, "You're gonna underthrow it by 10 yards every time if you do that. Here, it's just different. The speed is different." And I was like, that was the moment where I was kind of like, "Oh, all right, you know, this is a different level, different level of speed and talent around me, and I'm gonna have to, you know, raise myself to that level." And you know, going through that whole spring was a big learning curve for me, just learning the offense, because when I got there we didn't have an OC. You know, we didn't really have an OC until about a week before spring ball. So I struggled a little bit in the spring, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't have my best showing, I don't think, all throughout the spring. I think I got better as it went on. I don't think I was really comfortable in it until about practice 8 or 9 of spring ball. But really, when we got into fall camp, that was when I felt like I really settled in and understood the offense and really, you know, kind of felt comfortable taking on more of a leadership position on the team. You know, I think it's a step, and I don't want to say that's the culmination of everything, because we still have more that we're chasing. You know, but I think that was definitely a good step. And we talked about, you know, the first step of the playoffs, getting the first one is big. And you know, I think the fact that we were able to go out there and play well and move the ball, it wasn't perfect. That's the thing. We still got to learn from some of the mistakes we made in the game. But I think that was good. You know, we got to keep that same attitude. We have to keep the chip on our shoulder. shoulder, and we can't let a little success make us become complacent, because that's when the problems start happening.
Well, just as Bryce said that when Steph went down in that practice, one of the things he talked about was how your leadership took even another step up. What did you feel at that moment about what was a critical moment for this team?
Yeah, it was. It was Indiana week. We're going into a top 5 matchup, and we lose our guy, our starting center, who's just a dude, man, and easily my best friend on this team, and I died for that guy. And when I saw him go down, and I knew pretty much what it was, we all kind of knew. It hurt me, and I was damn near on the edge of tears. Like I just wanted to, everything in me wanted to stop and go home and weep for that kid. But I knew that's not what he wanted, and he would have wanted us to go and beat the heck out of Indiana and have a great Tuesday practice. That was when it happened. And I just said to myself, I was like, I can't let this derail this game and this practice. And I tried to ask myself, what would Seth do? And I went out there and just tried to carry on the leadership that he brought.
Do you ever allow yourself to stop and think, I'm throwing to a bunch of NFL receivers, or is Jeremiah, Mac, Parnell?
I was just looking at Mac. It's yeah. I mean, you know what you're getting into when you come to a place like Ohio State, but yeah, it's still surreal. Making some of those guys making some of the plays that they make. They're mistake erasers. I say that a lot. I want to be perfect with my ball placement. I want to put the ball where it needs to be every single time. But the reality is that I might miss every once in a while. But those guys are going to make me right. And the reality is I just got to give those guys a chance. And especially on deep balls, give them a chance, man. And they'll go do the rest. And they've shown that this year. And it's an embarrassment of riches being able to play with those guys. They make me better, and I like to think we make each other better.
Well, there's a Dylan Gamer about this too. You visualize. How much time do you spend on visualization? Not just looking at video, kind of trying to see things before they happen, making a deja vu kind of thing.
Yeah.
How much time do you spend on that? And how important is that in a game like this?
I think it's very important. I think, there's different ways to visualize, and I'm more of a, written visualization kind of learner. I like to, what's up, Fryer? I kind of like to, go through, every play, and I say, hey, what if they run this coverage against it? What are we going to do if they run this coverage against it? What if we get this pressure against it? And those are the kind of things I like to think through, scenarios and try to have answers for everything. And really the night before, I like to sit down and, just visualize and see myself, making plays. And that's that night, sitting in the hotel. That's when I like to do that. Exactly, like Josh Fryer kicking out Jordan Burge, No, man, he's a good player. Yes, 100%. I think when you play somebody twice, it really brings out the chess game and the game inside the game. And I've said that a bunch, and it makes it fun. And I'm a football nerd at heart, and I'm a geek for the playbook and playing games with your opponents. And I think that's what makes it fun, playing a team twice, and especially a team this caliber, man. I know they're getting their rusher back, Jordan Burge. He's a back player, man. And, so we'll have our hands full, and we do that. You come to the Rose Bowl, you're in the CFP. You're playing the best of the best every single week. So we're gonna have to bring our A game, and we're excited for the challenge.
You think the ups and downs for you guys this season will better prepare you for this time?
I do. I think that we've been able to, every time we've been knocked down, we can bounce back. And I think that speaks a lot to the character of the guys in their locker room and the coaching and just the university as a whole. And I think that the ups and downs that we have gone through this year, you feel them, and it's not easy. But I think that does kind of give you a callus a little bit, and you kind of you aren't affected by things as much. And I think that speaks, for me personally, in my career, I've probably thrown as many interceptions through my 5 years of college football as probably a lot of people. But it's about how you bounce back, and it's about how you learn from those mistakes and make sure they don't happen again. And I think that we've done a good job of that this year, and we have to continue to do that in the last 3 weeks here.
Does it feel like a grind at all this year with the expanded playoff?
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't feel any different to me because I was ready. If I didn't end up here at Ohio State, I was going to end up going to the NFL, and it would have been a long season. Assuming I would have stayed on the team, and I think obviously I made the right choice coming here to Ohio State, but I knew what I was getting myself into. We all knew what we were getting ourselves into. We did not expect to be here and just play a normal season. Like this is we knew like. I remember Coach Mick making us do 17 push-ups, at the beginning of the season because we had 17 games on our schedule. So we were ready for this the whole way. Yeah, thank you. I think it's really creative, and especially in the run game, I think a lot of the stuff that he does is just different. Like stuff that you wouldn't even really think of, gimmicks and different things that he's done in the past. It's cool and it's just creative, and it's brought life to this offense. And for me, it makes me be able to critically think a little more, and he's pushed me to see outside the box a little more on some things, schematically. But this whole year, just working with him and getting coaching from him, and I've said it, Coach Day and Billy Fessler and Riley Larkin, those guys have changed me into a different player. And I'm telling you, those guys have given me some life lessons and some lessons on the field that I'll never be able to repay. I don't think he had a nickname for me. He really just had Chad Ray Field Goal. That's what he calls him. It's an inside joke, but we all have our little nicknames and stuff. So, he is. He's a funny guy, man. He likes to have fun, and that's I love that. Being able to be locked in and grinding, but also being able to have fun while we're doing it and joke around a little bit. I spent Christmas Eve at his house with my mom went over there and Devin and Lincoln, we went over there and spent Christmas Eve with him and his wife and the dogs. And it was awesome. Man. Like I know he as a head coach missed that. Being able to interact with kids and having a room, and I know that was part of the reason why he came here. And I think the room that we do have is fun, and I think we have a lot of fun together, and he's a big part of it. And it's just been everything about my transition here has been awesome.
Well, you guys obviously trained. Game of Thrones your favorite show?
Yes.
Also, who is your favorite character? And you wish that anything was better?
Dude, I'm a huge Game of Thrones geek. I did not expect that to go that viral. I just was like, I don't know why I was sitting there and I was like, it was cold, play on the north thing, and it just popped in my head and I looked up Game of Thrones North quotes, and that was the first one that came up with Arya after she, slays the phrase. I'm a huge Game of Thrones nerd. Easily Jon Snow is my favorite character. I wish he would have ended up, being not getting sent back beyond the wall, but yes, I'm not a huge fan of the win, but I am a huge Game of Thrones fan, so that was the reason.
Was it seeing did that remind you of just Game of Thrones or Arya Stark?
Maybe a little bit. It was everyone all week was talking about what it was going to be, and then coming up with the cold. So yeah, I had a little fun with it. I did not expect it to be that viral or anything like that, but that was just me kind of being a Game of Thrones geek. I just thought it was cool. But yeah, it was just having fun with it. Yeah, I've grown a ton, and I think one of the biggest things that I've grown in is my ability to not force things, not try to make things happen, let them happen, and taking the completions when they're there, not forcing the ball down the field, really just being able to take the game as it comes to me, and keep the drive alive. I think I've done a better job of that this year, and my completion percentage flex that. And that was a big thing that the coaches really emphasized for me this fall camp and this off season was taking completions, especially on first and second down. Like, no matter what it is, you don't have to make the play right. You just have to, you got to gain yards. And that's at the end of the day. Like, hey, if everything's covered, go gain 5 yards with your feet. And I think I've gotten better at that this year. And that's all thanks to the coaching that I've got.